live here. All right, are we live? I think we're live. Can anyone tell me? Is anyone on here? I think Ian, I might need to get you to get on your phone so you can read the chat.
Okay.
Joins in. I'm gonna read my notes and stuff.
I don't think we find anybody right now.
We don't have anybody. Nobody likes us. We suck.
Bell keeps on messaging me with the text. Okay. We got
Hello. Oh, we have a person.
We got a person.
Who is this? We got a person on the stream. Oh, they left.
We made too big of a deal of them being on the chat. We were like, "There's a person." Yeah.
They were like, we don't.
Oh no.
We don't want to be talked to.
Oh.
This is really depressing.
I think we got somebody.
Nope.
I see.
Yo, people of the Hobbricks.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna like. Someone liked it.
Okay.
Just join it without the audio.
Okay,
I don't want to hear myself talking. It's very distracting.
Should we restart this? You think? I think it's good.
I think we're fine. We're good. We just gotta wait and see if anyone joins.
Oh, we have somebody.
Who is this? We have a person.
It might be me actually.
No, did you like it? Because unless you didn't like.
No,
like,
I didn't like it.
And someone liked it. So
Okay, we got somebody. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Hawkeye. This is Marvel's fourth show they've released on Disney Plus, and it's not the fourth one.
It's the fifth.
Oh,
It's the fifth.
It's the fifth
It's
one.
the fifth show. It's the fifth show
It's the
on
fifth
Disney.
show.
Oh God.
We thought it
Well,
was.
we got to talk about. We got to like break them down. Right? We got to break
Okay.
down the episode. So, what did we think of the fourth one? Because I talked about the first three already on the channel. You see, so
Okay.
that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna get my notes up here so I can talk about it. I thought the fourth one was the best one. Easily, I thought it was the best one. Like at that point in the show, they actually just kind of gave us scenes of Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld interacting, and I thought that was like when the show was actually good, was when it was just these people like hanging out,
Down
like
to earth.
talking, like down to earth elements. That was definitely when the show was like at its best. And then, it kind of subverted my expectations because I did not expect the whole like Clint reveal or whatever, him revealing that he was the Ronan, to actually be like this kind of tender moment. I thought it was going to be this big, like, dramatic thing where he reveals who he is, and then there's like a breakup between the characters. But I kind of like the subversive element that what made their kind of breakup take place was his concern for her safety. I liked that. That was actually kind of like a cool element. I mean, I guess you could say it was because her mom talked to him before, but I liked that. I was expecting it to be the cliche, oh, I've got a secret, and then he has to reveal the secret, and then she finds out, and then it's like this big whoop-de-doo. Yeah, it was actually different, and I liked that.
The fourth episode probably had the best scene, I think, when Hawkeye admits that he's Ronan. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, when they're talking about Natasha or whatever.
Yeah.
I liked that.
How he was used by the government, I guess, S.H.I.E.L.D., not the government, but kind of.
Yeah, that was a good scene. Yeah, you're right. That probably was the best scene. And I felt like they took on a bit of a darker tone, a bit of a darker edge at the end of it, which I liked a lot. But that was what I needed from it because it was way too light for the first three.
And there wasn't really any plot holes from that fourth episode that was like really noticeable.
Well, except for the part where Yelena decides to take a break on the roof.
Oh, yeah, that's the
when
one.
Clint's looking at down
that
at
was
Kate.
the one plot hole. He was standing there for 20 seconds. I like what they did there. That was a subtle scene when Kate falls off the building and Yelena attaches a rope to her, so because she doesn't want to hurt anybody but Hawkeye. That was a little subtle when Hawkeye was looking down at Kate for 20 seconds, and you could see like a little bit of a tear coming down his eyes. That was a little subtle flashback to when Natasha fell.
Yeah.
So he kept on staring at Kate for like 20 seconds, and she was like, "What are you staring at? I'm good." But then We're
Yeah,
thinking
he
of
was having
Yelena.
PTSD.
What was Yelena?
Yeah, what was?
For 20
Yeah,
seconds.
there were two people still fighting on the roof.
She could have just pushed him off the ceiling.
He's dead. You're done. Your mission's complete.
She was just taking a break until he went
I guess
back.
she wanted to like see him die or something, and like I don't know. I was just that was stupid. It was like, why are you just standing? Everyone else just took a break in order for Hawkeye to have a bit of PTSD in the middle of this action scene. Okay, sure.
It would be quite symbolic if she actually pushed him off the roof and then he's like falling down like Natasha fell down.
I guess Kate could have caught him.
But then Kate catches him.
Yeah. That could have been cool.
And then he jumps down and then they run away.
Yeah, it would have been better, honestly. But I guess they had to have the dramatic pulling off of Yelena's mask and like turning her
And
around.
then she flips off the building for some
Yeah,
reason.
just leaves the fight.
Why
I
did
don't.
she leave?
She could have just killed Clint. Like, why?
She was like, she like,
Freaking, what's her name? Echo was already taken out of the fight,
Yes,
so she didn't have anyone else who was there to intrude upon her progress. Why didn't she just freaking kill Clint?
yeah.
Why didn't you just shoot him in the head? Like,
Yeah.
what's preventing you from doing that? That was just so silly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I overall like the fourth one. It was good. It was a solid episode. And then the fifth one kind of came along and was like the worst one. What was going on in the beginning with Yelena and the thing? Can you explain that? Because I didn't watch the Black Widow movie. What was going on there? The gas or whatever.
Oh, I actually kind of enjoyed that opening scene, although there are a couple plot elements that
Don't
make
make
her
any-
a little bit of a hypocritical character,
Yes.
where she is angry at Clint for killing somebody while she kills people for money.
Yeah, it's like she's still doing it while Clint is actually not doing it anymore. Like, well, just I felt like the whole opening scene did not do anything to establish
just showed the
Yelena's character to the audience that had not seen the movie. Because like the way that Marvel usually structures these things is they have scenes or whatever recaps to the like audience for people who haven't seen the prior movies, and it felt more like just a continuation for people who have seen the Black Widow movie. And as a person who has not seen the Black Widow movie, didn't really do anything to, I don't know, reintroduce her motives or her character or anything. It didn't really feel like it served a purpose in the show. Like the post-credit scene of the Black Widow movie does a better job of that because you know what her motives are. She's sad that Black Widow's dead, and then she believes that Clint killed her. And the opening scene of this didn't really serve any purpose. And then like, why was the other Black Widow lady there completely like fine after she came back? She had like no reaction when she came back from death after 5 years, and she was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Yelena? What's up?" And I was like, "What the frick?"
So, I don't know. I kind of understood what they were trying to do. But you had to have seen the Black Widow post-credit scene to know what they were trying to do. Like at the end of that opening scene sequence, she's like, "Oh, where's Natasha?" And then the lady, I'm guessing that she's talking to that isn't on the screen, makes a weird facial expression, and she makes a weird facial expression back. It's kind of bringing up the point that Natasha's dead.
Yeah.
And then she goes to her grave, and then she meets up with the Val lady there. Well, the Val lady kind of just sneaks up on her.
Yeah, that was weird.
But if you hadn't seen the Black Widow movie, you would have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a scene that doesn't make any sense if you haven't seen it. I hadn't seen the movie really. I saw a little bit of it. My parents were watching it, so I saw a little bit of it. I saw like the middle, but I didn't watch the whole movie. So it's just kind of like, doesn't serve a purpose if you haven't seen it. Doesn't reestablish her motives or her character or anything.
Yeah.
If you just watch that like 1 minute scene on YouTube, then it would give you more information than this scene does, and it's like dragged out to like 5 minutes or whatever. It just felt like a pointless scene. It didn't really serve a purpose. And Yelena's motives for wanting to kill Clint don't make any sense because, like, why doesn't she just look up what happened with Natasha, like, on Google? Like, why doesn't she just go on Google and look up, like, what happened with, like, because, like, that's something about all these recent Marvel things is that the public is just aware of what has been going on with the Avengers.
With the musical. The musical was my favorite part of the last episode. I actually kind of enjoyed
What? I freaking hated that episode thing.
I liked like the singing. I thought the singing was good. It was like
I hated that.
But
That was the
I
worst
mean,
thing.
it kind
That
of
made
just,
me give it like a 0. I was like, I fucking hate this.
I don't know. The singing was like, it was okay, I guess.
But like, yeah, the weird constant with these new Marvel shows and movies is the public is just weirdly aware of like what happened in these battles that the Avengers were in.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the Avengers did not tell the public that Clint killed their friend. So it's pretty obvious that Val is lying to Yelena about what happened, whatever, with the freaking Endgame movie where they went back in time or whatever the hell. It's like so stupid. But like, why doesn't Yelena look it up on Google and then like find out that Clint didn't kill her? Like, this whole plot would just be over. It's like, oh, I don't need to go attack him or whatever. Like, it was just so full of holes.
Yeah.
And then this whole thing about all the people that hired her, where it's like, oh, Kate's mom hired Yelena. And it's like, so wait, how do you know who Yelena is? And also, why did you have the scene where Val hires Yelena? There's like two people that hired Yelena. Who, like, what? I thought they were going to establish that Kate's mom called Val, and then that's before the scene where Val talks to Yelena and hires her. But apparently not. Apparently she just hired Yelena, and what was
the Val
yeah.
didn't hire her.
Why didn't you just have Kate's mom show up at the end of Black Widow and hire her? Why did you need this whole thing with Valentina or whatever?
Yeah.
It was just so like confusing. So that's stupid. And then her motives for wanting to kill Clint are really like her explanation for why she wants to kill Clint is so stupid. She's just like, he just killed a lot of people, and that's bad. It's like, yeah, well, so have you, and you're still in the like business of assassinating people, and Clint stopped doing that like a couple years ago or a year ago.
Yeah.
Like why? Like her motives are so stupid. Like it's like this hypocritical character, and it's just like. And then they like made it too jokey, where she was like hanging out with Kate eating macaroni.
Yeah, I actually think this is what they should have done with that Kate scene when they're eating mac and cheese. I actually like. I didn't not enjoy that scene. I thought there are some good jokes, but yeah, I thought once Kate didn't give her answers, it would not been cool, but it would have made the show more interesting and made it seem to the audience that Yelena's motivations were stronger if she beat up Kate after Kate did not give her any answers. Because she went there to get answers from Kate. And
Kate didn't give her any answers.
And then Kate didn't give her any answers. And she's very
like, all right,
thanks,
bye.
Yeah, she says, thanks, bye. I would assume she's a Black Widow assassin. This is the most motivated she's ever been to kill somebody when she has really no knowledge about who killed her sister other than this one untrustworthy lady.
Yeah, because Clint obviously did not kill Natasha, and the public should know that, I guess, because the public knows everything. And I'm pretty sure the version of the story that the public knows is not this weird, twisted version where he kills her or whatever, because otherwise Clint would be in jail right now. Like, he would not be out on the street going to musicals with his family. Yeah. That's not what would be happening if that was the story that was known to the public. So I'm pretty sure if Yelena did a freaking Google search and found out that Clint didn't kill Natasha, she wouldn't need to go after him. It's just so dumb.
I think what they're like, I guess she's just too stuck in her ways. You know, when Kate's like, she didn't, Clint didn't do this.
Everyone makes mistakes.
You should check with the person who told you that he did.
And she's like, okay, yeah, I will. And then she finds out that she was hired by Kate's mom.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, that she was hired by Kate's mom.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It's like,
what is this? What is this? I thought there's a scene where Kate's mom's talking on the phone with somebody. And I'm like, oh, so she's talking to Valentina or somebody, and they're going to explain that. It's like, no, she's just talking to Yelena, I guess. It's like, what the hell?
What happened to the Valentina?
How does she know who Yelena is?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
I don't know. But yeah, the 5th episode was definitely weak.
And I felt like, the whole thing with Clint going to visit Natasha's grave or whatever was like potentially a good scene. But the fact is, at the end of Avengers Endgame, Captain America goes back in time, returns the Infinity Stones to where they were, whatever. He comes back. They have a time machine, and they established in Avengers Endgame that if you go back in time and, I don't know, pluck something or someone from the past, it creates a different branching reality and does not affect the one you are currently in. Use the time machine that you established and go get Natasha. Like why? Like that? Like that's the problem. Is the second they did that in this franchise, they made me not care when anybody dies.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm just like, you have a time machine. Like, if they had written in at the end that they destroyed the time machine, okay, that's the end of it. It doesn't bother me. But they established that they have a time machine that is operational, that works, and it's there. So, why don't they just use it? Like, what is the point of this? Like, when J.K. Rowling wrote the Harry Potter books, she realized that she wrote in this, like, convenient plot device with the time turners. So in one of the later books, she wrote out the time turners saying that they were destroyed at some point. But now in Marvel, they've established they have this time machine that they can use to go back in time. They never said that it didn't exist anymore. So go pluck Natasha from hell, I don't know, 2 seconds before she dies, and you're good. Like, she's back, she's fine. And it doesn't change anything that happened because that's what you wrote into the franchise.
I thought it was a well-written scene, but if Natasha didn't die if Natasha's death couldn't be reversed,
yes,
then it would be a better scene. But her death can be reversed.
Yes, and every death thing. And what I mean, but like, people are gonna say, well, why are you mad about that here when you weren't when characters died in, like, I don't know, Falcon and Winter Soldier? The thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier is that they wrote that show in a kind of realistic setting that was set within the Marvel universe while also feeling detached to a certain extent, and it didn't constantly remind me of the other movies. The problem about Hawkeye is they're constantly talking about, you know, the past Marvel movies, the Avengers, all these things that Clint's gone through, reminding us about Endgame. Yeah. And I'm like, well, too bad Endgame wrote in this time machine plot device that they never wrote out, so it's there. So now when anyone else dies in a Marvel thing, I'm like, use the freaking time machine. And it's easier to excuse when they aren't, like, directly acknowledging and or referencing these events all the time. But when they are constantly referencing these events, it kind of pulls me out of it. Because I'm like, I know you have a plot device that can, like, rewrite this. Like, same thing with Tony Stark. You have a time machine. Like, in the Endgame movie, they try to act like they only have the one, like, you know, device for time travel, which is the time Infinity Stone or whatever. But they have an alternate version of time travel they can use. And they just never do for some reason. Like, why don't you use that? Like, remember they have a scene in that movie where Thor is like, we can bring her back. We have the stones, right? And it's like, yeah, but you also have a time machine. Did you forget what you used to get the Infinity Stone? Like, that's the problem. Like, every time they do that. So in this show, they're talking about Natasha, and they're like, oh, I'm so sad she's dead. I'm like, use the time machine. You have it. Like, what?
I think throwing a time machine in any movie or show can cause a lot of possible issues, especially continuity issues.
Yes.
Especially if you don't destroy that said time machine.
Yes, it creates continuity issues, but it also reduces the stakes if anything comes after.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I mean, right? It's like J.K. Rowling, when she wrote Harry Potter, realized the time turner plot device was too convenient, and that if anyone died, people would just, like, use time travel. Yeah. So she wrote in a later book that all the time turners were destroyed. Like, they're gone. Kaput, there's no way to reverse time anymore. Okay. But in Marvel, they try to act like they only have this one asset with which to time travel through, but they have this other thing, which is the quantum realm bullcrap or whatever.
Yeah.
So use that. And, like, they're talking about Ant-Man all the time. Like, when in the last episode, they use the shrinking arrow, and Glenn's like, I gotta ask Scott about that. I'm like, how about you ask Scott about the goddamn time machine that you can use to get your friend back? Like, why are you asking Scott about little owls or whatever, when you could be asking him about bringing Natasha back? Like, what is this whole thing?
And what else happened in that episode?
I don't know. It just, like, Echo was there, and she, like, Clint showed up and fought her, and then that planted seeds of doubt in her when he tells her that some sort of informant that worked for Kingpin told him where her father was. And then that plants seeds of doubt within her, and she kind of confronts her second-in-command guy, because obviously he's the one that tipped Clint off about where it was going on. So
that was a cool action sequence.
It was well choreographed.
Really,
the
really,
fight with
really
Ronan and whatever her name is, Maya, that was good. That was a good scene.
And I like how it reintroduced Kate's character and she saved Clint. That was
cool.
good.
That was good.
That was good. That was probably the best scene of the episode, right there.
Yeah, I agree. That was definitely a good moment there.
Yeah.
And it was just like the episode just was like it was kind of just the Yelena episode. Like she kind of was like the most prominent part of it. Like she has the opening, she shows up and talks to Kate, and once again, it just feels like it's like what's happening.
It had the fifth episode had one main plot line that actually made sense without any plot holes.
Yes, and the main thing that was at the heart of it was the whole Yelena thing, which is just full of holes, as we've already discussed.
Yeah.
So it's just like I just couldn't take that seriously. I couldn't really get invested in that. And yeah, like I thought the whole thing with Echo was fine, but she doesn't need to be in here. Like her whole like
the opening scene with Kate, I like that too. Oh, the opening scene with Kate and her mom. Not opening scene, but the second scene. I really like that.
When they're having lunch or whatever?
No, when she comes home after the battle and she says
Clint left me? Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, that was the last
that was
kind of sad, yeah.
Her character as a whole is great.
Yeah, that character was good. She's like the one character that's like consistent. I'm like, okay, I get why you're here. I know what you're doing. And then, so I think that's all we have to say with the fifth one, right? It's like it was just like mediocre again.
Couple good moments, but
full holes.
A lot of the main plot.
Yeah,
plot
it was
lines
full holes. And then we move on to the sixth one. Oh boy!
Personally,
I didn't like it.
This is my least favorite episode because I had two scenes
because you have
that I really liked.
Well, let's just kind of break it down, like plot point by plot point. So the main thing at the beginning, it's like, oh, it's Kingpin. He's here and he's talking to Kate's mom or whatever. And it's like, okay, he's in the show. And what's like, I did not watch the Daredevil show. I've never seen it. I could not take him seriously. The way he spoke, his voice was like, hey, I'm here. It was like, what the fuck?
His actions in this episode do not match who Kingpin is. Kingpin is not a politician, but he's a villainous politician. He has thousands of assassins working for him, thousands of people working for him. Even the freaking prisons are working for him. Governors are working for him. He has connections everywhere. The tone of this episode does not match the tone of Kingpin's character. Like I said, his actions in this episode do not make any sense.
Like when he walked down the street in a Hawaiian shirt and beat Kate up or whatever.
When Kingpin walks down the street, Kingpin would never walk outside to chase this lady down that
made him a little bit upset. Yeah, like what is this?
He has a lot of people that work for him. I mean, a lot. Why wouldn't he just send an assassin after her if he wanted to kill that lady? Kate Bishop's mom. He just goes to chase Kate Bishop's mom. And I don't think this show... Technically, this isn't his character because this is an alternate timeline.
Is it? I don't know. I don't understand what's happening.
It's an alternate...
I haven't seen the show, but you have...
Is it an alternate universe or an alternate
Oh, hey, Israel Animations. How's it going, dude?
It's an alternate... It's an alternate universe, we're thinking, and they're just using the same actors as the Netflix shows.
Yeah, but it's like worse, apparently, according to you. I haven't seen it. But
the Daredevil show.
It sounds good. You make it sound pretty good.
It's nothing like this show at all. It's a great show.
Yeah, so I couldn't really take Kingpin seriously, and like the whole thing, like the way that he was treated in the show, like the problem is the show tried to take it. You think it was good? Yeah, I mean I can understand why you think that. Israel, I had like the most turbulent experience with this one out of all of them. But like the whole thing with Kingpin, like it felt like the show by definition is trying to be realistic and like this ground level kind of crime element to it, right? And despite that, for half of it, it's way too light.
It's not realistic.
And what like you get a little bit darker towards the end. But the whole thing with Kingpin just felt like so corny. Like Clint never like calls him by name. He talks to Kate earlier in the show about how there's the big guy running the operations, and he never says who he is, but he knows that by the end of this, the road they're going down, they're going to bump into this guy eventually. Why would you not want your partner in crime to know who you're going up against?
Yeah, he never mentions.
Yeah, and then Kingpin's like, it's time for the city to know who I am. And I'm like, well, why have we never freaking heard of you before? Like, where were you in the past, 97 movies of this franchise?
Yeah, this episode, personally, Kingpin doesn't make... I thought this episode was pretty rushed. I still thought there were some good moments, but I thought it was pretty rushed. I think Kingpin should have been the episode... should have been the villain for season 2. I don't think he should.
Are they making... Do you know if they're doing that?
I don't know.
I don't
think so.
Yeah, and my thoughts going out... I forgot to mention this in the last section where we talked about the 5th episode. But my general kind of consensus was that they don't have enough time in this final episode to wrap up all these plot points. And I was correct. They just... So much of it was just, jumbled up and,
Yeah, it was a little jumbled up.
Best show ever. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I thought that Kingpin's this episode as a whole was a little rushed. The last episode of the series,
and I felt this whole thing was just it was so rushed. Clint as a character got nothing. He got no development at all.
No.
All he does is add to Kate's character, who I think was easily the best. I already love Haley Steinfeld. I think she's great. And I thought she did a great job playing the character. And I thought the whole thing with her character was well done. You open the show with the scene where she sees Clint fighting the aliens. And then later on she says, you proved to me that in order to be a hero, you don't have to have lasers shooting out of your hands or whatever. And she's able to take down kind of the ultimate threat on her own. It proves herself in the process because at the end, Clint says, I'm really proud of you. And she proves herself to be a hero because there's a scene when her mom's getting arrested and she's like, what is this? Is being a hero arresting your mom on Christmas? And she's like, she doesn't say it, but you can kind of tell, being a hero means sometimes making tough decisions. And Kate kind of made the tough decision, but she made the right decision.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
That's a very tough decision.
Yeah. And her whole character arc was good.
Really great. Yeah.
She's not the title character of the show.
No,
it's Hawkeye, and he doesn't do anything. The only thing they have going for him in the show is I should have named this show Kate. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I just thought that Kingpin's character does not match the tone of this series. This series is very light, while Kingpin's character is very dark. And I know it's not the same character.
I just couldn't take him seriously.
It's not the same universe, technically.
Yeah, you pulled the chats and read up the stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's just it's and the only thing they had going for Clint was this watch thing where it's his wife used to be a SHIELD agent as well as him, and that it's implied that's how they met. And earlier in the first episode, when the mafia breaks into the cellar or whatever, they're find the watch. And then later on, Clint's I need to find this watch or else someone could look at the information on it and find my wife and track down my family and stuff. I got that. I understood that. But they did not develop that at all. And it's the only thing that has any connection to Clint. Everyone else, okay, Yelena, Echo, whoever else, they have some sort of superfluous connection to Clint. But as a character, Clint has nothing going on except that.
Yeah.
And you've talked to me about this. You like the actress that plays his wife. And they've done nothing with her in any of these movies. They didn't give her anything to do. And they established this whole watch thing.
Yeah.
And then it's a big thing, kind of the driving plot point of the 4th episode is that he's breaking into this place to Maya's apartment to find the watch. And he finds it, but they get attacked and they can't, resolve that.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he's just yo, I found your watch at the end of the last scene. And then she turns it over and it's got a SHIELD logo. It's okay, yeah, I know I can piece together the pieces here, but you didn't earn that. You got to build that up. You got to develop this. They didn't develop it.
Linda Cardellini plays Hawkeye's wife, and she's such a great actress. Me and my mom watches So-Called Dead to Me, and she is phenomenal in that show. And she doesn't really get anything. I think they hired her just because she's a big named actress, a recognizable actress. But her character should have been given much more.
Yes, and they just it was just so rushed. They didn't develop that. Clint has nothing going on, and the whole tracksuit mafia guys are so incompetent. I get
those guys are awesome.
They're funny. I get that's the goal, right? They are this show's equivalent of stormtroopers.
They aren't intimidating.
Yes, they're not intimidating. They're not like a true threat. But the fact is, like, they have the scene where he and Kate are trying to work together, this teamwork moment, and it just feels like kind of hollow because the guys they're fighting they suck.
Yeah, it would be,
like they're not actually.
It would be cooler if they were actually fighting people that were very, very skilled, or not as skilled as a main boss would be, but
yeah,
like yeah.
It just it just makes that whole kind of like, it's a cool moment, but the people they're fighting suck. It's kind of like what they did in Mandalorian season 2. People have pointed this out over time, and I've come to realize it as well. Is that in Mandalorian season 2, whenever they showcase a character doing cool shit like Bo-Katan or Boba Fett, they put them up against these like guys that suck. Like, they are, so they're like,
that's what
they make the characters look really awesome, but in the process they're like, okay, we have to put them up against these guys that are like terrible.
I will say, in the one-on-one combat sequences with Ronan and Echo, Hawkeye looks like cool as hell. Like Hawkeye is a very skilled fighter. I knew we already knew that, but I think this show really showcases that. Even in the final battle sequence with him and Yelena, he doesn't want to hurt her. He just tries to stop her from hurting him.
Yeah, and like that was the one moment where I actually felt like a little bit concerned, because like, I don't know, you called it. You said you did not think it was likely at all that they were gonna kill Hawkeye. But I felt like they were setting it up a little bit. So I was a little bit worried. Like when she's like beating him in the head with the stick or whatever, I was like, oh crap. Like it's not looking good for Clint here,
No.
But then they had I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. I felt it was a little bit too Martha-y from Batman vs Superman. The whole Martha. It was like so like it was. I liked it. I liked the way they resolved that kind of whole thing. But it feels like there was not enough build-up. They didn't it just didn't feel like it was earned enough in the context of it. They didn't build up that dynamic. They decided to build up Kate and Yelena, but not Clint and Yelena. They didn't build up their dynamic at all. Yeah. And that's kind of the driving force of this kind of plot line.
It was resolved well, but I don't think she was so filled.
It was so predictable.
She was so filled with anger. I don't think she would have stopped from shooting him
when he whistled. He whistled the freaking Natasha whistle or whatever. It was just like, okay.
She wouldn't have been prevented from shooting him because of a whistle. In my opinion. But I don't know. There were some good moments. I enjoyed Kate's character, and I feel like she was actually the main character of the show.
Yeah, she was.
But it was a little inconsistent. There are some major plot holes and a lot of main plot holes in a couple episodes. In the 6th episode, Kingpin was very disappointing for me, just because his actions didn't really make much sense. He has the whole city of New York basically works for the Kingpin, and he's very intimidating in the way that a politician or Palpatine is very intimidating when they don't use their powers because they have so many people working for them. It doesn't make much sense for him to run out in the middle of New York
with a Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah. He has many enemies, but he also has many people that work for him.
Why would he?
And then chase Kate's mom. She's not like a.
Why is she so important that
she's not that important to. Nobody's that important to Kingpin for him to walk out in the middle of the street. Like even when he's fighting.
The only person I would have thought that for was Echo, because he actually seems to care about her in some way. But this whole thing with whatever.
Yeah, and then I like that the Kate was able to beat up the big bad guy, but I wish that big bad guy was not Kingpin. Because I don't think his powers match up with her powers, because she has electric arrows, arrows that can blow up, and he's a guy that fights people that are hand-on-hand combat. He fights Spider-Man, he fights Daredevil. Those are two superheroes that use prominently hand-on-hand combat.
Yeah.
It's not a great matchup for him when he fights someone with arrows that can turn into Play-Doh, blow up, freeze people, and electrocute people.
Yeah, so, it was just like, I just like feel like the show was like lame. Like I feel like it was not what I was like when I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, it's not the Infinity War movie, explosion CGI garbage.
No.
And it wasn't that. It was kind of this ground. Yeah, good. The action was good. It wasn't CGI noise and crap. Yeah. But it also feels like they didn't really put in enough of the work to make me care about a lot of it.
Other than Kate.
Yeah, other than Kate. And yeah, Clint's character got nothing. It was like he's finally getting his own show, and he got really nothing as a character. And it just feels like this is yet another Marvel thing where it's all set up. It's all just setting up more crap. And that's what I'm sick of with this stuff, right? It's like WandaVision was just crap. And it was like, okay, here's all this setup garbage for the Marvel captain or whatever. And all this. I'm just like, I don't care about this. Yeah. Why is Monica Rambeau in the show? She doesn't have a point. Why is the guy from Ant-Man here? Why is Kat Dennings from Thor in here? There's like all these pointless things like they're there to set up more crap, like the Skrulls or whatever. And it's just like so pointless. Like it does nothing but set up more crap and intrude upon the story.
Yeah,
I already talked about that in my cameo.
It sets up the Echo show. I do not believe Kingpin is dead. I just don't think they should.
Yeah, it was so corny, dude. When they had the panning shot, and it was like, oh, Remley doesn't see eye to eye, and then like they hear the gunshot. It's like, oh my god.
I don't think they should bring like the same actors. Like apparently these aren't the same characters from the Netflix show. So the Kingpin you see here is not the same Kingpin from the Daredevil show. He's just Kingpin played by the same actor in a different universe. I don't think they should do that because people like me, they watch the Daredevil show. They attach this Kingpin to many character traits. And then this show doesn't really match his tone or character traits. It should have been a different actor, or maybe it shouldn't have been Kingpin at all. As like I said previously, him and Hawkeye in a battle, or him and Kate in a battle, is not a great matchup for him.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it. Like I felt like Kingpin in the show served his purpose well enough as being the obstacle through which Kate is able to prove herself. That's what her whole arc is like, you know, she becomes a hero, and the way she does that is through ingenuity. She doesn't have lasers shooting out of her hands, like she said at the beginning, and like she's able to so as an obstacle, I thought Kingpin was fine, but as a character, and you're saying you've seen that show, I haven't. Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty lame. Like as a
very
thing,
this is the point.
Yeah, and as I said, it feels like this show is just so set up-y. Like it's just so like so many of these things don't need to be here.
Yeah,
they don't need to have the deaf girl. Like I didn't hate that character. I thought she was like a fine written character. There weren't a lot of like holes in her old backstory or whatever, but it does feel rushed. Like you've got her number 2 guy, henchman guy who dies, and I felt nothing. Like I don't care about that guy. He's yet another character where he could have been kind of this like secondary antagonist kind of guy who like actually poses a threat, but he just sucks. Like he's actually a joke. Like when Clint beats him up, it's like a joke. He's like, aha, that was fun. Bye. I'm like, okay, this is so corny. Like it's just a joke. And like, if she's getting her own show, why does she need to be here? Like all this, imagine if we got all this stuff with her and her family, I suppose, and Kingpin, and that was developed in its own show, and you develop that character, and you actually care about him, and he's not just a joke in the background, then maybe I'd have cared when he died. But I didn't. And it's because they didn't bother to develop any of that. It's just like so rushed. And even like, I didn't hate that character, but like her development is so surface level. It's like she's mad at Ronan, wants to kill him. And then in the end, she decides to stop going down that vengeful path and decides to, not go after Clint anymore. It's like, okay, whatever.
For my main expectations, the show, I would say, is disappointing because I was really looking forward to the show. I've seen from previous shows, I know Marvel's not done that many shows, but when the shows are down to earth, they are usually better. We saw that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. It was more down to earth. It was better.
Yeah.
Mandalorian is a pretty down to earth show.
Yeah.
And except with Luke Skywalker.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that they just shove in all these things, dude. It's like, I don't like, this shouldn't be here. Like, imagine if we could have gotten a version of the show where it's, I don't mind the general setup. You can have you keep the general setup. You have Kate. She idolizes Hawkeye. They work together. Her mom's working with some sort of criminal gang, criminal underworld. And then you have this whole thing with Clint and the Watch, and you maybe explore the backstory with his wife and how she used to be an agent, how they met. You have flashbacks and stuff, and you actually develop that, and you give more to Clint's character. In this, it's just like he feels bad about being a bad guy in the past.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really a resolution to that, was there? Was there, like, because, like, throughout the show, he's, like, the main kind of, like, defense Kate has against him talking down to himself all the time is, like, people make mistakes. You reacted differently to whatever was going on. And it's, like, they don't really have any sort of, like, closure for his character. Like, I felt it was weird that he just burnt the Ronan suit. It's like, okay, bye, Ronan. Like, I got that, but, like, why? I thought there was gonna be some kind of, like, big reveal, or I don't know, not a big reveal, but, like, it just felt kind of like Clint is still hiding that part of himself. Like, do you think the burning of the Ronan suit was like meant to symbolize him letting go of that, like, path or something? Like, he's like destroying that part of him. Is it burning up the suit?
I would assume so. Yeah. There wasn't much closure for his character, and there wasn't many.
Why in this
plot lines for his character in general?
Yeah, why in this show called Hawkeye is Hawkeye's plot point the thing that feels the most like an afterthought? Like, why does his plot line with the watch and his wife and this backstory, why does it feel like an afterthought? Why is Yelena getting flashbacks? Why is Echo getting flashbacks? Why are these characters that are going to get their own shows and movies getting all the attention when this character who's gotten, like, barely any development in the movies is not getting anything? And he's the title character of the show.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, you could have had Yelena, like, okay, you established the Black Widow thing in that movie. So you've got Yelena, she wants to hunt down Clint. You don't have this stupid thing where mom hired Yelena.
Yeah.
And you just have it be this ground level kind of focused show. You have more scenes. Like, once again, because every scene with Kate and Clint is good. That's like a good kind of like the scenes where there's talking and hanging out, their interactions, their chemistry is good. I like all that.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that there's, like, no substance. Like, there's no, like, they don't give him anything. They try to give him this watch thing.
That's a problem.
And then all it is in the final episode, all it amounts to is he's just like, oh, found your watch. Here you go. Shield logo. End of show. Like, what is this?
When the character the show is named after is, like, barely part of the show, when you really think about it, that's a problem. And the plot lines they do start up, there's no closure to the plot line, really. I think the show should have been longer. I think if they did introduce Kingpin, I think they should have just made a second. I don't even think Kingpin should have been in this, if they're in this season or in the show in general. But if he is going to be in the show, I think he should have been in the next season if they're making a next season. Or he could have been introduced in this episode and then over the next 3 episodes, 6, 7, and 8, maybe even the 9th. I don't know.
That's what Max Reviews just said. He said it should have been 9.
Yeah.
And it seems like both Israel and Max are in agreement on that. It's like it should have been a little bit longer. It should have been like a little bit longer. It could have, if it had been longer, it could have perhaps given more depth to Clint. And what about the whole thing with the hearing aid? They have the whole thing with the hearing aid, and I was like, oh man, they're finally going to give.
Oh, that was
like,
a really good scene.
Like, you know,
that
some sort of like exploration of this
character.
Character, and also the impact that these events have on the individuals who are part of them. Like, we're finally seeing the ramifications of Clint going through all these supernatural experiences, and it actually has an effect on his health.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting. Too bad it was a joke, and then they forgot about it after the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
Like,
this show to me was a little disappointing. I don't have high expectations for anything Marvel. Like, I don't really have any expectations. So it was worse than I was expecting. I thought it would just be kind of a fun thing. Maybe it's just because I like the actors in it. I was like, oh, I like Haley Steinfeld. It'll be good. Yeah, acting is
sure.
good. Yeah.
The acting's good. It doesn't use there were CGI elements used, and they did look pretty fake. Like when Kate shoots the acid arrow into the tree, it looked really bad. But like
overall, it doesn't look too bad, I guess. The choreography was good. There was a couple episodes that I enjoyed, and there were a lot of moments that were good moments, but there were also a lot of moments that were bad moments, and there were a lot of main plot holes in mostly every episode.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, Max. I see what you're saying with the connection with Echo through the hearing aid thing. That was That was interesting. That was established in the third episode. But then, like, they got it fixed within 10 minutes, and then they never bothered to explore that again.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what you're saying, that it gives him a connection to that character.
Yeah.
But did they ever bother to explore that character at all? Like, really in any deep or meaningful way? Did they ever bother to explore their connection? He's like, we were both used.
Yeah.
As he said, like, okay, we were both used. And, you know, like going down the vengeful path, it's not what you want. It's not going to get you what you want. And so she kind of heeds his advice. The final episode, she decides to stop being vengeful and doesn't go after him. She kind of defends him a little bit from her like secondhand man or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So, they have that in there, but it's also just kind of like you need to develop it more. You can't. It just like they just like focused more on the jokey jokes and the other crap, and it's like I don't care.
It was just. I mean,
it was just lame. It was like another Marvel thing. Like I don't know.
And it's weird because there were some moments in episodes that I really like enjoyed, and it felt a little different. It felt more laid back in a smaller scale story that was actually like paying off some elements. And then there are a lot of elements that it didn't pay off at all, and then they didn't bring up really anything with Hawkeye's character. So when I look at it, objectively, it's not a great show. You have 2 mediocre episodes, 2 good episodes, and then 2 bad episodes.
Yeah, that's the way that I felt. Yeah, like this is the most turbulent like experience I've had with any of these Marvel shows that I've watched. You didn't know, any of you watching, didn't watch Loki. I couldn't watch What If. I could not get into that show at all.
Especially the zombie episode.
The zombie episode sucked. It was bad. And then WandaVision, I did not like, and then I hated it. it got worse.
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was good, and then it got great. And then Hawkeye was mediocre for the first 2.
Good, enjoyable.
Good, pretty good for the middle 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And it got really bad at the end.
Yeah.
It was just like,
when you have a show named Hawkeye, I really like Kate's character in the show. But when you have a show named Hawkeye, and there's nothing about Hawkeye, that equates to not a great show. So,
and then there's just all these other like small elements, like I said, like
with Elena.
Yeah, and just small like little elements of like the world building and shit that doesn't make sense. Like the whole thing with the "I can do this all day" being the quote used in the stage play. I already talked about this. But how would the public know that's Captain America's catchphrase? Nobody knew that. Yeah. Nobody knew that he said that. It's like trying to be a wink to the audience, but also is a wink to the audience within the universe. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then why did Clint not tell Kate about Kingpin earlier? Like, why did he not talk about any of this? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why would it just be like this?
I don't know. I liked.
Give it an 8 out of 10. Wow, that's high praise.
I liked the musical at the end.
I hated that
more than the musical.
I hate
it. It was
really
so awesome.
What?
It was so great. The singing was great. The choreography was pretty good.
I hate it.
As a musical not connected to the show, when you realize that it's kind of messed up when you actually realize it, that like they're
reenacting a terrorist attack,
an event that killed thousands of people. They're reenacting the heroes that saved the day. But at the same time, in that event,
it's like 9/11.
Died.
It's like 9/11. It's like you made a play out of like 9/11, and then you show like a plane crashing into a tower,
and then you show firefighters saving.
It's like what the fuck?
It was a little strange. But I just tried to disconnect from the show because I was like, oh, it's kind of dumb. I was like, oh,
yeah, it was just like it was fine in the first episode because it was like the greatest hits version of the musical. But then like they had this post-credit scene. It went on for like 5 minutes, and I was like, just end. I hate this crap. I couldn't like.
I liked it, and then I did not like it, and then
I was like, whatever.
Like some things did not like more things. When you add up the factors, add up the numbers, it's not a good show.
No, and it's just like so many of these small little elements, like the world building and crap, doesn't make any sense.
Kingpin
walking on the white shirt.
Ian. If you watch Daredevil, that's like the dumbest thing he's ever done.
Wait, what about the Swordsman?
Oh yeah, I thought this is one thing I thought they should have done. I thought the Swordsman. I think this is what they should have done. I don't think Kingpin should have been in the show at all. I think the Swordsman should have been the Swordsman.
I can't take that seriously.
The Swordsman should have been working with Kate's mom.
Yeah.
And he kind of forces her into the business, but she kind of also has to be part of the business because her ex-husband that passed was part of that business, was not a great guy.
Yeah, I thought they were going to say that she killed him.
I don't, yeah.
I thought they were going to say she like pushed him out a window or something in the New York attack.
I like that she wasn't fully evil, though. She was just a person that had to make a choice. But even then, you have to go to jail for breaking the law, and Kate brought her to jail. I like that. Mostly all of Kate's scenes are good.
Everything with Kate is good. When Kate and Clint are interacting,
it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's kind of some emotional stuff there.
Enjoyable, yeah.
But then
there's
the actual death, the actual stakes, can't take them seriously because time machine.
Yeah.
Because they got the stupid time machine in this franchise.
I thought the Swordsman should have actually been the main villain along with Yelena. I thought that would actually make more sense.
I kind of
he's trying to protect the mom because he's working in cahoots with her. And he has the final battle with Kate. Like, I feel like that would make more sense.
Yeah, or build up more of like a dynamic between them, like a rivalry or something. Like, because what was weird,
they were building it up and then they resolved.
Yeah, they were building it up and then they didn't do anything with it. Like, it was so like what, like she doesn't like him because they hid their marriage from her. She's rightfully mad about that. And then in the 4th episode or whatever, like he's joking around and then she kind of starts to like him a little bit, but throughout the entire show she's been like against him. And then when Clint says, I found some like incriminating stuff about him, she's like, oh, what? I kind of like him now. And it was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. And then they're like, okay, but he's like a bad guy. And then it's like, oh no, the mom framed him and he was actually just like a good guy the whole time or something. And it's like, what?
The Swordsman, it would make sense if Kate and him fought and she had a rivalry with him that continued until the last episode. Instead of Kingpin showing up and running around in a Hawaiian shirt in the middle of New York, chasing a lady that probably isn't his biggest concern right now. Unless she's like very like powerful. I don't know how powerful, but why, if she is so powerful, why doesn't she have bodyguards? Why doesn't she have people working for her? I guess she wants to keep it secret from Kate that she's a gangster, but the whole thing that she doesn't have bodyguards is a little stupid to me. If she's a main competitor to Kingpin or a main,
it was just so underdeveloped, like everything about it.
But I don't think she's actually that involved with Kingpin. She's just like a low-level gangster.
No, she was involved. She framed her husband and killed the guy.
It's just. But Kingpin doesn't even chase Daredevil in Daredevil. He lets Daredevil come to him, and he sends people after Daredevil. And Daredevil is someone that's actually like attacking him, and is like physically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
I'll take your word for that.
He would never go after just this random person that is causing him a little bit of problems. Like,
yeah, she's like a slight nuisance, and then he like murders the driver of the car and like.
Yeah,
breaks the window.
She's a slight nuisance. Yeah,
it's just so stupid.
It is quite stupid.
And then when Kate's fighting him, he's like, "You're starting to annoy me." I was like, "This is so stupid." I was like, "I can't take anything."
He talks slower than the other Kingpin in the Netflix show.
His voice was so I couldn't take him seriously.
He always talks like slow when he thinks out his sentences. He's a very smart, calculated, cold villain.
Yeah,
but he's like talking way too slow here. He's like the. You know the sloth from Zootopia? You know the sloth from Zootopia? Yeah. In the DMV, he kind of talks like that sloth a little bit. He's very slow.
Yeah, and like the Kingpin whole thing, like I felt like he served his purpose okay in the show, but I agree with you. Like, if you had not seen that, then like it would mean it's weird. It's like simultaneously, if you watch Daredevil, you'll probably think it's lamer. But at the same time, if you haven't seen Daredevil, it doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, who is this guy? Why is he like talking about how he's the king of the criminal underworld, even though we've never heard of or seen him before? Like, there's no build. Like they could have like made like a show where it's like you've got just Clint and Kate once again hanging out. Kate's mom's working with the criminals. You could have that in there if you want, but then you also have this backstory with Clint and the Watch, and you could have Yelena in there. But you build out this backstory with Clint and what was going on, like how he is connected to his wife, who was an agent, how they met, how his wife is supposedly connected to Kingpin, something like that. But in this show, we've just got all these different plot lines that don't connect. Like maybe you could develop Echo in her own show and like have all that, have her have a connection to Clint, but you don't need it here. Like the show needed to focus on what its priorities were.
Yeah.
And like, what is the like? This is the thing that I was talking about, right? It's like look at Falcon the Winter Soldier. It has a message. It's like the message is you need to think about the effects that your actions can have on people before you take them.
There's no message
Like,
in the show.
and yeah, in Falcon the Winter Soldier, it's like okay, the government doesn't think about the effect their actions will have on John Walker when they put him in the position of Captain America, and then he's like this unstable, traumatized guy. He makes a bad choice, and Bucky and Steve did not think about the impact they would have by passing the shield to Sam, who's a black man, and like, you know, the ramifications of that. And then Sam confronts the government about the fact that they didn't consider the ramifications that whatever their stupid cutting off of supplies for certain individuals would have on refugee groups and stuff. So there's like that constant theme in that show about needing to consider your actions, you know?
Yeah.
But in this show, it's like, what's the message? You don't need to have powers to be a superhero. You don't need me to tell you how cliche of a message that is, do you? Like, that's been explored 10 times over.
There wasn't really...
Agreed. John Walker was great.
It wasn't really a main message that I could grab from it. Maybe there was some...
It was just the one about you don't need to be a superhero or you don't need to have powers to be a superhero.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, but yeah, isn't that kind of like the message of everything?
That's kind of like that's in every show.
Yeah, and it's like kind of the theme of Spider-Man. It's like,
and
well,
it's
the same thing Spider-Verse did, but better.
There's some. I'm assuming there are some subtle messages in there, but I cannot notice any of them, to be honest.
No, I mean, can you two, Max and Israel? Did you pick up anything like that? I am just being stupid enough.
I mean, Hawkeye has some PTSD, but he never really gets over it per se. I
suppose that is like it would not be realistic if he were to get over it, but there's so many things that establish with him, like the hearing aid, the hearing loss and all this, and his like distaste for himself. I suppose they tried to give him a little bit of resolution with Yelena in that moment when he tells her you need to just live with her choice.
Yeah.
And the way I always saw Natasha killing herself was like she did that because Clint had a family that he could go back to once this was all over, and she doesn't. But now they've changed it so that Natasha also had a family that she could have gone back to, so it makes it feel less like earned. Kate realizing that Hawkeye
isn't perfect.
Kate realizing that Hawkeye isn't perfect and the heroes aren't perfect.
That is true.
That's true. Yeah,
but she gets over that pretty quickly, I would say.
They didn't really explore that.
No.
It wasn't like a main theme running throughout the whole show.
After Hawkeye tells her that he's Ronan, he kind of explains how he was used as a soldier, and he was kind of doing what he's always done. I
like you got the whole thing with Clint and how he killed people, and then Yelena's there, but it's also like Yelena's also kind of a hero character, but like she freaking kills people as well. So there's like a hypocritical aspect. Stepping up to become a hero and actually putting around. No, I agree with that. That's what we already discussed. Is the theme of like being a hero means having to make hard decisions. And she kind of does not make the most idealistic choice, but makes the difficult choice of putting him out in jail.
The whole symbolism of Hawkeye, like burning the Ronin suit, has no like outside motivations or factors for him to do that. Like they don't explore.
Well, they need to destroy it or else. Yeah, but it's also
villains will chase him. But does he actually like burn?
Yeah, but who knows that he's Ronan?
Nobody does, other than Echo.
Yeah, but she's like leaving now. She's going off.
She knows that she doesn't really blame him. Yeah, so they didn't really need to do that per se. I thought that was more of a symbolic scene.
But what is it symbolic of? Like,
exactly, that's what I'm asking. Like getting rid of the past, but what motivated him to get rid of the past? That is very rushed if that's what it's supposed to symbolize.
Yeah.
I think
he's getting rid of the past of his murderous vigilante path, but it's also like, when in the show did he learn to accept that part of himself?
No, he just says it's something that he was always done. There's no part of the show where Clint accepts that part of who he was and moves on from it. And decides to get rid of that. Just kind of accept that part of himself, because throughout the whole show, he's like, I can't accept this. Like,
who I was a monster. I can't accept who I was. And then at the end, he burns the suit. But it's like, yeah, what is that symbolic of? Like, he's burning the suit, but is that him like accepting that part of himself and moving on? Because that was never part of the show.
He calls himself a monster in the show.
No, but I'm saying that's basically what he is saying throughout it.
I thought he always like kind of in a weird way, like
no, he doesn't like.
He doesn't accept it.
No, because he was like, Kate, I'm not a good guy. And she's like, no, you are. You're a hero. Remember that whole scene in the diner or whatever?
He kind of, he regrets it. That's
he doesn't. He's not happy with who he was.
No.
And I guess they're trying to have that mirror image thing with Yelena, but it all just comes off as being like really stupid. Where she's like, "Oh, you kill people, but I also kill people, so I don't have a right to be mad at you about that."
Yeah.
Like it was just like so weird. Like,
I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it again.
I'm never gonna watch it again. No.
It wasn't bad. Like it wasn't bad enough for me to like really like rant about it per se. Like,
well, I mean, we have,
I guess,
for like a while,
but like to really like dislike it. Like, I didn't put like a sour taste in my mouth per se, because I mean, it is a Marvel show project, and
crap.
With Marvel, it has come expected that there will be a lot of plot holes.
Yeah, bad writing.
But it was not great, and I guess it was a little disappointing, even though that was not surprising, per se. Yeah. It's true. We are kind of ranting.
Yeah, we are ranting about it. Yeah, it's just like, but it's not something where I'm gonna like be thinking about it. In the future, past this point, I'm not gonna be thinking about it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what I think we mean by that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be giving it too much thought, to be honest, because I don't like hate it per se. It's just like it's not that great.
Yeah, I'm not like I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like really anything Marvel. Just like
it was a show. There's a lot of good shows out there, and then there are a lot of bad shows. And it was
and it's
one that's kind of bad.
It's yet another point where I have to differentiate the quality of Marvel from like actual like normal, or I guess not normal. Like, I don't want to say Marvel is a normal entertainment because a lot of people watch it. It's like the most popular franchise ever right now.
Yeah.
But it's just like kind of the point where I just like I don't care about it. Like, I've just grown past like the more idealistic way I used to look at things. Like I used to be like, oh, I love all these Marvel things, and now I'm like, I'm older. I look back on it, I'm like, I don't really care. Like I just like they're not well written, they're not well constructed, really. Like they're just like they are money making products. That's what all these Marvel things are. And occasionally they're able to make something that is actually thoughtful and tells like a nice story, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
They're definitely for
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't care. I just don't care about it. And like it's not just something where I'm like they're just bad. Like there's not usually a lot of value to these things.
They're definitely products for entertainment that do sometimes try to delve into deeper issues, and they're sometimes successful. I'll give that.
But very rarely.
Yeah, pretty rarely.
Very rarely they're actually successful at that.
And I will give them that. I mean, if you're looking for entertainment,
yeah.
For some people, that's just superhero movies. I give them entertainment. I've kind of grown past that phase for me per se. Because I can kind of notice that the stories aren't that great, but that's okay. People can like what they want to watch. If they find it entertaining, I still find like some stuff in superhero films entertaining.
It's just like I can't really get into this.
They are consistently have the same problems. Most superhero.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that I always see is like people are like the MCU franchise is so consistent. And I'm like, yeah, it's consistently badly written. Like I don't like it's if that's what you like. That's what you like, you know. I'm not going to judge anybody on that, but I don't really care. Like, it's just like I don't care. It's a combination of I don't care, and they're also not good. Like it's just,
I agree that this is like an era of superhero movies that is probably going to die out in the next 10 years. Every 2 decades, every 3 decades, there's a new genre of movies that becomes popular.
Yep.
I don't know what the next one will be, but I don't think it'll be superhero movies for the rest of the time.
No, I hope not. I'm gonna like
that.
Die.
Yeah, it's
like, you know, it's not like the messages in this show, in Hawkeye in particular, are bad. They're not bad messages, but they're not well done. And if you compare this or any Marvel thing to any other movie, it's like it pales in comparison to it.
I think people mostly go to superhero movies for entertainment.
Oh, hey, Israel, you're back.
Because when people say they love the movie, a superhero movie, they say this was a great
a great
movie.
Marvel movie.
Yeah,
but there's always that disconnect, that differentiation that I and everyone else seems to always have to make, where they're like, this is a great Marvel movie. So when I look at, like, for example, Shang-Chi, I said in my review of it that it was a good Marvel movie. It was a decent Marvel movie. Is it a good movie? No, it's not. It's like a mediocre movie.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing with the show. It's like if I compare this to any other show that is not Marvel, it's bad.
I think,
but if I look at it compared to other Marvel things, it's better than most. I would say it's in my top 5 Marvel things because I only like.
Hawkeye? Yeah.
If I were to say, like, I think my top 5 Marvel things are like Falcon and Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man, and this. Like, it's sad, but it is the truth.
Yeah, I think people have to differentiate because they view superhero movies. Well, some people view superhero movies as great, like, stories and best movies of all time. That is weird to me. And then some people go to superhero movies just for pure entertainment.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Yeah, that's understandable. I get that.
But when people say it's better than
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King,
Godfather, like, no, it's not. It's not really. Like Martin Scorsese said, I don't completely agree with him, but I kind of get what he's saying.
He said Marvel movies are a detriment to cinema, and I agree with that.
He said he enjoys them, but they're like a theme park. They aren't.
And he said that they are a detriment to cinema, which I agree with, because the problem is that so many people grow up, and I almost kind of fell into this a couple years ago, was these are the only movies that people are getting exposed to, and other, like, actually really well constructed, well thought out, well put together movies and shows do not get the attention that they deserve. And these are the money-making things. You know, I mean, I know that that's just the way of the world, but I wish it weren't that way. And I wish that, like, other things got more attention in that regard. I agree with what he said in the fact that Marvel movies are a detriment. They're a detriment to cinema.
Yeah, because a lot of
all that people see are these. You look at, like, the past couple years, all the movies that made money were Marvel. You know?
Yeah, nobody really sees other movies, and that's really sad. Other people watch, like, shows. Like, my grandma watches soap operas, and my mom watches a lot of shows, but nobody really watches movies other than superhero movies.
Yes, and Israel, to clarify what I mean, I agree with you on that. I agree that Spider-Verse is a really good movie.
It's very rare.
Outside of being a superhero movie.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just like, it's something that can appeal to anybody. But the problem is now that Marvel, at least the MCU in particular, is so built on the references, the cameos, all this Easter eggs, all this crap, and it doesn't actually tell a story anymore. Like, there's no plot underneath it all. It's just like crap.
Yeah, and I don't really have a problem with people going to MCU movies for entertainment. That's great. They like a movie. Going to the movies is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But when people start viewing them as like the best movies of all time,
they are art films.
When they're clearly not.
No,
that's when I have.
And that's not really what they were intended to be either.
And it kind of bugs me. Just bums me out that people view these movies as art and the greatest movies of all time, when they're really not that. And there's other great things that come out every single year that go unnoticed.
Yes. Yeah, like Blade Runner 2049. Like, it was, I think it's, everyone agrees that it's a good movie.
But
a great movie.
Nobody really noticed it.
But it did not make a lot of money, and no one really noticed it.
And there's so many great indie films. Like, when you look at them retrospectively, they may not be... I kind of grow out of my phase of superhero movies, so I find a lot of movies with good writing are more entertaining than movies with just action sequences.
Yes. And it's like, when I was younger, and these are all... Because, like, these movies, I feel like in a lot of regards, the bad writing and stuff, it's not something you pick up on when you're younger. And I didn't pick up on it when I was younger. And now I'm older, and I kind of grown out of that phase. And when I look at these, I'm like, they're badly written. Yeah. But they aren't really made to be art films. So I understand people go to watch them just be entertained.
But then some people view them as something else other than they view them as art films.
Yes, and I like Max. Yeah, I agree with you on the fact that the MCU. You see what Max Reviews just said here, dude. Is he says the thing with MCU is that no other franchise made it as far as it. That's fair. Yes,
they have revolutionized making movies back to
back
to back.
But that doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah,
it doesn't make it good. Yes,
continuation problems.
It makes a lot of continuity problems, a lot of bad writing, a lot of just bad, and they're so rushed too. Because if you look at like this, like what's the common complaint? Too much CGI. I agree with that. There's a lot of CGI, and the problem is it doesn't look good. And it's like it's all on the same level because they rush these movies out. They're like rushed out. Like there's 5 movies this year, and they're so rushed, and it's just like that. You know, they just aren't like quality movies. Like they didn't put a lot of effort into it. And it's like you look at like Star Wars has its fair share of problems. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But at least right now they're spacing out their releases. You know, we've got like what do we got this year? Bad Batch, 1 Star Wars show. That's it. You got 1 Star Wars thing this year. They're spacing them out more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like with Marvel, 5 TV shows, 5 movies, 5 whatever else. It's like I can't keep up with it. There's too much. There's too much of it.
Sometimes, I mean, Disney, to be honest, when you really think about it, is I don't know if I can swear, is not a very nice company, morally wise.
No, they're not. They're bad.
And I understand and I appreciate Marvel's trying to entertain people, but sometimes it seems like they have no effort in that entertainment. And if they're just making movies to entertain people and there's not like they just use CGI and trying to rush them out, I mean, that's more understandable. But sometimes they try to make the movies more than just entertainment. And when they rush that, that's a little bit like...
Yeah, and I, like, as me myself, I don't want to support the company really in like, you know, the sense of like going to see every movie, paying them all my money because they are, you know, the big company that made it farther than other companies. Like I that's not why I just don't want to support them because they are bad. Yeah, but it's like whether or not you like the stuff they produce, they're bad. Yeah, and you know if you think they're good, I think they're bad. If you think they're good, that's fine. Yeah. But I don't want to support them. No. And Max Review says that you had Vision's Book of Boba Fett for Star Wars stuff. Visions is kind of like its own thing. I don't really like. It's kind of its own contained entity in Book of Boba Fett.
It feels like a book that isn't canon.
Yeah, it's like its own thing. Yeah, like the Ronan book that they made as a spin-off of it. It's kind of its own thing. And then also Boba Fett. I'm not going to count that as a 2021 release. There's 1 episode coming out in 2021. Yeah. It's not like it didn't come out this year.
Yeah, well, it's just I don't know. Yeah, this show wasn't that like amazing. It wasn't great, and to be honest, it wasn't good when you look at it from like an art standpoint. Would I say it was entertaining? I would say it was entertaining somewhat, but
what are you talking about?
Just entertainment value.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm not really looking.
You're talking about Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Okay, Hawkeye. I enjoy. Like, here's the thing.
I find entertainment.
I want to watch. Yeah, I want to watch something with my family.
Yeah.
And I watched it with my family, and it was fine. Would I have watched it without watching it with them? Probably not.
No.
Like, it's fun to have something to watch with your family every week or whatever. I enjoy doing that. Yeah, it's something fun to do because I don't have a lot of time to hang out with my family really all the time, so it's fun. But would I rather be watching something that's actually good? Like, I'd rather be watching something that's like actually quality. I don't know, crap.
And I think once this superhero genre ends, I think people will start to.
I don't know, dude.
I don't know because I don't know. I feel like people like kind of view superhero movies as like the best. Some people, not a lot, but some people view superhero movies as amazing like pieces of art when really they aren't.
Eternals was bad. Eternals was bad, Israel. Okay, yeah, I believe you. I believe you. If you say it's bad, I believe you.
Eternals?
Yeah, I have no doubts. Yeah. I mean, your brother says it's really good, and he said it was bad. But yeah, he also said that Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is the best Harry Potter movie. So
yeah,
Rise of Skywalker is the best Star Wars movies. I don't know if I trust your brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess I'll watch Eternals when it comes out for free.
Maybe not. I don't even know if I want to watch it.
It's a long movie.
It's like too long.
Yeah,
too long.
I don't know. I thought Hawkeye. I would give it if I give it a rating as a show, entertainment wise, I would give it a 6 out of 10. But as a show by itself, like story wise, I would give it a 4.
I think I agree with them. I don't know. Entertainment wise, give it like a 5. I give it lower than you. But as like if I'm judging it as a Marvel thing, it's like
top 5 Marvel.
Yeah, it's top 5 Marvel. Yeah, it's like yeah, top 5 Marvel as a Marvel thing, because I guess I have to make this differentiation, which I think is stupid. I don't know why I have to do this, because Marvel should just generally produce better things. But as a Marvel thing, I'd give it like 6 or 7. As an actual thing,
for Marvel,
like yeah, for Marvel, it's like 6 or 7. For an actual thing, 4.
Maybe 4. Even like a 3. I don't know.
3,
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was not good. A little disappointing. And
we do need less CGI ending battles. Good point, Israel. Agree with you on that.
Yes, I agree.
We do need. Yeah, we definitely need.
Yeah,
It's just like not good. Like, I don't know. Are you gonna watch the Spider-Man movie?
The Spider-Man movie. I grew up on the Spider-Man comics, so I feel like I have to. And for entertainment, it's the only.
It looks bad.
It's the only.
It looks really bad.
As a story, it looks really bad. But Spider-Man and Batman are the only characters that really give me like entertainment. So I'm like, entertainment-wise, I'm gonna see it, but I'm gonna know it's like a bad movie, and it might actually be a little bit. Like some moments might be annoying because they kind of, in a way, some of the plots ruin the continuation.
The continuity. Yeah, people act like the MCU is great continuity. It doesn't. Continuity is terrible in this franchise. It's bad.
But if I watch Spider-Man, I think I get good entertainment from it. Yes.
Yes, I like so. But what discussion is in the chat right now is Israel and Max are talking about like the CGI battles, and I agree with the fact that Shang-Chi worked until his dad died, and then they had the CGI dragon fight, and the emotional core of it was lost. They had the emotional battle between Shang-Chi and his dad, which was good, and then it devolved into CGI dragon. Like,
and then
shit.
Shang-Chi, he beat that dragon up in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it sucked. That was such a bad fight. It was terrible.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'll maybe view it as entertaining. I'm just
CGI dragon was unique. How was it unique? How was the CG? There's a CG thing in every movie. Like, what if it was just a blob? What if it was just a blob of CGI? What if it was like? What if it was this blob? It was just this blob right here. This blob. This blob of sticky tack. And it's just like, that's what it is. It's not unique.
I will agree that. I mean, we never seen a dragon in the MCU.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's unique.
And
they're all just a blob. They're not real. They're blobs. They're blobs of CGI.
Yeah. If I see a superhero movie, I'll view it as entertainment until it tries to be art. You know what I mean?
Like, I don't want it to try to be art.
If it tries to be art, then I'm going to have to critique it. But if it's just trying to be pure dumb entertainment, then sure, yeah, why not?
They went all in. That's what make it good. They definitely went all in on the CGI noise. Doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't really give superhero movies too much thought.
I don't give them that much thought. I don't give them that much credit. I talk about them on here because, people watch the channel who like them.
Yeah, very big audience.
Yeah, but if I don't want to watch one of them, I'm not going to. Like this year, I did not watch a lot of Marvel stuff. And I'm glad. I'm happy about that. Yeah. I would say this is the second best Marvel show of the year, but that's only because the competition was freaking WandaVision, What If, and goddamn Loki.
Yeah.
And I could not watch the two latter. I could not. And the WandaVision, I thought, was like the worst piece of crap I've ever seen. So.
Yeah, so entertainment-wise, yeah, maybe like a 5.5, 6 out of 10. Yeah. And then story-wise, almost 4. Yeah. Acting was good. I kind of enjoyed it, but at the same time, it wasn't a great show.
Yeah, it's just so mediocre. It's like so bad.
Yeah.
WandaVision I thought was bad all the way through. The sitcom thing, people are saying it's unique. It's not actually. They're just copying concept from a different like form of media, and like not actually doing anything different with it.
I think the creepiness hinted in the sitcom.
The first 2 episodes of WandaVision were the best ones because I didn't know what was happening. Once they explained everything that was happening, and then they had freaking Ralph Boner and White Vision flying away.
Last episode was the worst.
Shit.
Yeah.
WandaVision was the worst thing I saw this year. I hated that thing.
I kind of like enjoyed it, and then the end happened.
I didn't enjoy anything about it. I hated it.
I thought watching it, I enjoyed it like until the last episode, and then I did not like any of it because it resolved to just some stupid.
It didn't resolve at all. The show had no purpose at all.
I don't mean like resolve, but like the ending didn't do anything. Like
no, it didn't. It didn't like whatever they were setting up. It did the worst possible execution of that.
Yeah, watching it, I was like kind of intrigued. I was like, what the hell is going to happen? And then I was like, oh, well, that was like really, really, really disappointing.
I wasn't even disappointed because I didn't like the show, but it was just bad.
I think you were expecting though that they would just do the CGI.
I knew what they were gonna do. I told you. Remember, you were like, I remember we were debating on this earlier in the year. You were like, dude, you got to give it a chance. It'll be different. And then it got to the end. It was like CGI explosion. And then you were like, damn it, you were right. Like they just did it. It all amounts to the same crap in the end.
Yeah. It was not great.
The only thing that surprised me this year was Falcon Winter Soldier, where they actually ended it on like a simple like conflict between the characters, like it was a moral conflict.
Yeah,
and they didn't end it with a stupid CG explosion.
There wasn't really like a battle. Like Sharon Carter just like shot the lady. She wasn't even a main character in the show. She just shot her. Yeah. Like it was
realistic.
It was realistic.
Yeah. It was actually like a good ending, and then everything else this year is just like we have the CGI. Disgusting, gross battle.
Yeah. Like, yes. So. Yeah. It was that. I guess that's our review on Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot more to say about it. Yeah. It kind of morphed into this whole Marvel discussion as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Which is a good discussion to have because I think people need to distinct entertainment from art. Because to be completely honest. And I'm not saying my opinion is like the right opinion, but in my opinion, I don't view any really superhero movies other than The Dark Knight and the Spider-Verse as a piece of art.
No, I don't view any of the superhero movies as actually being like good movies.
I mean, like some superhero movies, there's pieces there and there, here and there with like good scenes, but as a whole, there's very minimal amount of like fully art-filled movies with great stories. Well written, no plot holes.
Oh, it looks like I'm gonna have to defend the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, other than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No, read the comic.
Oh,
we're gonna have to defend it, dude. You ready to defend the Falcon?
Oh, with Falcon. I didn't really think that.
There's no problem with the Flag Smashers. There's no problem with the flag. There's no problem with Sharon. Like,
I didn't really understand people's problems with the Flag.
Sharon Carter was thrown out by the government, and now she like. Is kind of has thrown. Well, yeah, I guess she hates the government, and now she's gone to life of crime and is now infiltrating the government, continuing that life of crime. She's gone down the wrong path as a result of the government's actions. I felt it's perfectly consistent with the show.
I think the Flag Smashers they weren't that big of a threat until the end.
That's the point.
That was the point. They were a progressing threat. They were getting bigger and bigger as a group. And at the start of the show, 2 superheroes with superhero abilities were sent after them because they viewed them as progressing threat. If they didn't view them as a huge threat or a progressing threat, they would just send some regular like military.
Well, that's what they did though.
They did that as well.
Well,
that's what they did.
Sam and Bucky didn't. They weren't sent. They went of their own accord. They went of their own volition.
Oh, they didn't get sent?
No. Oh, because they didn't work for the government.
But John Walker was sent. Sam and Bucky viewed them as a progressing big threat.
How did Sharon change way too much?
I think she went like from good to like bad, but that's normal. But that's normal for
view it if you were in that situation. If you were like discarded by the government completely, and then you had to turn to a life of crime, like would you not like freaking go down that path? Like it was your only way of surviving, and
yeah. I mean, I don't know what degree you need to have to get to get into Shield, but
Yeah,
I think you might have to resort to a life of crime. I mean, there's other agencies out there, but
John Walker was amazing. He's
nobody
like the best Marvel character.
after imagine you worked for Shield, a corrupt agency, and then you were going after that you were going to work for some other agency. No one would hire you because they would assume that you were corrupt as you worked for Shield.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she probably couldn't find a job.
Obviously, not an easy life. The problem with that, like, I can understand that certain element where it's like people say she changed. I don't agree with that, but I can understand the fact that they did not give her a lot of development as a character before Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, as a character, she was like there to be a weird love interest for Steve Rogers for some reason, and it was like freaking weird.
Oh, that was creepy.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, what is this plot line? And she didn't really. She wasn't really a character. She was just kind of like the love interest. Like, she wasn't really.
Whoever wrote that movie, that's just really weird.
You got Stephen McFeely and whatever the frick the guy's name is. Thank for that, dude.
Oh, McFeely? Oh, that's a weird last name. McFeely?
McFeely.
Oh, God. Yeah, that guy is definitely not a great person, I don't think, just based off his last name.
The thing, like, Max, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that, but the thing about it is that I feel like the build up to the power broker twist, or like the way it was treated in the show didn't feel like a twist. I felt like the audience themselves built up this big expectation for it to be something that it wasn't, because in the show, it wasn't treated like a big twist. They're like, oh, so you're the power broker. It's not like this big reveal where they're like, she was the power broker all along. It's just kind of like, oh, she's the power broker? Okay. Like,
yeah,
it didn't feel like.
There wasn't like a huge disappointing factor.
No, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was like a big, like the audience built it up themselves to be disappointed. It wasn't.
And everybody thought there was a huge.
They thought it was going to be friggin' Mephisto. I don't know.
They thought there was a huge swing from, the leader of the Flag Smashers, Carly. Yeah. They thought there was a huge swing in her character where she went from nice to terrorist.
She was always like,
but she was always
like this weird, like on the fence. Like she was like, she talks to Sam, or is like kind of like, there's like a scene that perfectly like showcases that, where she calls Sam's sister, and then she's like, oh, hi, how are you? I just wanted to talk to you about if I should kill your brother. And it's like, oh shoot, like,
she's so calm because she's trying to get what she wants in a calm manner.
Yeah,
she's like almost.
That's how terrorists work. They try to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be nice, and they're like, oh, we're actually gonna freaking murder.
But when her plans are being disrupted, she then gets very angry because she feels obviously very strongly towards her ideologies.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't think there was a big twist, like swing in her character's mood at all.
I didn't feel like there was any inconsistency.
She was pretty,
and that's something else that like I wanted to mention about Falcon is like the Falcon show did not have this. The problem with this show and WandaVision, everything else has of the unnecessary setup, right? Like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, you've got really kind of like the main side character. You got like Zemo and Sharon and it's just them, right? They're the returning characters, but they aren't just like pointless character cameos that don't serve a purpose necessarily. Like they're characters that like have been a part of the story. And like at the end, when they have the post-credit scene, it's not this scene that has like this unnecessary character cameo or some crap where it's just like, oh, you're setting something up. It's like it's set up, but it's set up in the logical sense because it's something that is a direct continuation of the story being told and not this superfluous like side other movie that has not, like in WandaVision where you have the Skrulls and Monica Rambeau at the end that is setting up a show or a thing that has nothing to do with Wanda or any of those characters. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, post-credit scene sets up what Sharon is doing within the government now. It's like a logical like thing.
It's easy for me to enjoy Falcon and the Winter Soldier because one, it
feels detached from the Marvel stuff.
But it's well written. It goes for serious stuff, and when there's entertainment, I enjoy the entertainment more because the serious stuff was written well.
Yes.
Because this actual story was written well, when there's pure entertainment, I don't view it as like dumb entertainment. I was like, I
invested in this story.
And I enjoy the entertainment more. Even if there is like a little bit of like dumb jokes, I like enjoy them because I know the story is actually
it's keeping moving. It's not like it doesn't like the Marvel problem where they're like joke, and then the whole scene stops. It's Like they don't have that problem in Falcon.
Max Reviews or Israel Animation says they should stop killing off MCU villains. Israel Animation says that.
Yes, I agree with that because when you kill off a villain, it means you can't like bring them back and continue the story that's set up there. The weird thing was they did not kill off Vulture, which is what you said, Max. But the weird thing is they might as well have because he has not come back or played any significant role in the Tom Holland Spider-Man story.
He should just be a one movie character.
Yeah, because they set up the storyline where he's keeping Peter's identity a secret, which they decide to undercut in Far From Home, where they have Mysterio reveal his identity to the world, which is now like this big plot point. But that also renders everything they set up with his character to be pointless. So you might as well just kill them up.
Like maybe there could be a scene, like if they don't have, what's his name, Vulture and the stupid Morbius thing.
Yeah, like why is he there?
Why is he there? But if maybe he could be like someone Spider-Man visits in jail in a future movie, but that's it. Like that, his character should just be done after the Homecoming. I thought he was a one movie character, but I do agree they should stop killing off their villains.
Yeah, there are some characters where I feel like Killmonger, I feel like was logically like he didn't need to come back.
No,
but like some of those characters, I'm like you shouldn't have killed them off. Like
I actually don't think they should have killed off Mysterio. I honestly,
yeah.
I wouldn't have mind. Well, it's just his powers wouldn't really work with the rest of the Sinister Six, though, because he's like working at a lab and they're actually fighting someone physically. I don't know. I like Jake Gyllenhaal, so it would be good to see him back. But
I know what happens in No Way Home. I know there's the whole reversal of his identity or whatever. But it doesn't make any freaking sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. This new movie looks so stupid. Like I actually I don't even think I'm gonna watch this movie. It's so bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our Hawkeye review. Just to clarify, Benny gave it a 5 on the entertainment scale. A 4 is a story. I gave it like a 6 on entertainment, 4 on the story.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
That's all we have to say here. Anything else that you two have to say that are on the stream?
It's only 2.
Yeah, it's just Max and Israel here.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I was the 3rd.
Yeah, we're 4 at one point, but that's the only other people left.
Yeah. We'll probably get some views after.
Yeah, that's true.
Loki was one of the best shows in the year.
I didn't watch it. I don't plan on watching it. It's just the long and short of it.
Maybe one of the best superhero shows because there wasn't that many superhero shows, but like as a show,
it looks like it's better than WandaVision. What If?
But like we got to think about other genres of shows.
You look at not just
superhero shows.
Everything besides Marvel. It's like
there's a lot of shows that came out.
Yeah,
like
it just doesn't seem like it would be that good. But
there's a reason Marvel movies and superhero movies are not nominated for Golden Globes and awards.
Yeah, it just wasn't that good. Well, yeah, that's about all I have to say here. So thank you guys for tuning in and joining in on the discussion here. Israel, Max, thank you for joining in. I don't know if I'll make another video on Hawkeye. I feel like I said everything I needed to say in this video. Like for some, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I made an essay later on talking more about it. I don't feel like I'll do it in this case because I'm not really passionate about this one. But I'll definitely be some stuff coming up. There's like the ranking, end of year ranking and stuff that I'm going to do, which I'm looking forward to doing. So yeah, just be looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks, Israel. Yeah, I really do want to do more streams and stuff like that in the future. Yeah, Ian and I like doing it, right? Don't you? You enjoy doing it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun thing to do. Whenever there's like a new show that comes out, we'll talk about it. I wanted to talk about Visions on here, the Star Wars Visions show, but like you weren't able to watch it with me, like congruently, so we kind of didn't have the time to do that. But whenever we have time, we'll definitely do
the Boba Fett show. Yeah,
we'll definitely do the Boba Fett show. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's coming out next week. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that when it's done. But
I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna do some podcasts or something, right, Max? That's what you said. So, looking forward to doing that. That'll be fun. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, and of course, as always, you guys have a great day. Take care. Bye.
I got another